You guys have probably seen reviews, critical reviews about this movie not doing so well. Once you sit down and actually watch this movie and you kind of look back on some of the things that they did with the plot and some of the characters, I could see some validity in that. But I'm going to tell you right now, this movie is just, it's ridiculous amount of fun that you almost want to just overlook everything about that. I'm here to tell you guys my review of this new Super Mario Bros. Movie by Illumination. I'm going to give you guys my general thoughts about the movie, and then I'm going to talk about just some spoiler safe stuff, and then I'm going to jump into spoilers later on in the review. This is a movie that has a lot of nods to its franchise. If you are well into just like the culture of Mario, then you're going to love this no matter what. This movie is so colorful. The animation is super nice. There's a lot of tie-ins to Mario music as well with the orchestrated pieces, and it's great too. Actors are fantastic. I have one gripe with a certain one that played a certain character. I'll talk about that in like the spoiler aspect of it. So as a whole, it's great, and it definitely deserves like the success it's getting like right now. It is ridiculously succeeding right now. Having said that though, I want to just talk about like the downsides here. This movie is pretty fast paced. I wouldn't say it's something like a non-stop roller coaster. Moreover, it's like you're getting on a ride, getting off, and then with the next couple seconds you're jumping into another one. I will say though, I feel that type of pacing feels a little weird at the beginning of the movie, but not near the end. Also, I think a downside to this could be the fact that there's not a lot of character development. I think a lot of the characters are pretty well established and they don't really have a lot of things changing about them through the course of the movie. Maybe except for Mario and Luigi themselves. I think it's fine, but I think I understand if like critically, if you want to be more attached to the characters, then it would be a little bit more relatable to see them kind of go through a process of change the way that we kind of go through it as well. I think that's kind of the general stuff as far as like what I feel about it. You know what? I think I'm finding it really difficult to talk about some of the other things about the movie that I really like without generalizing it. I really will just say, just go watch it. I think there's a lot you can enjoy, not just as a kid, but also just as an adult as well. Even if you don't even know a lot of the stuff about Mario, I think adults who just are not familiar can get introduced to this kind of stuff and find entertainment out of it and maybe possibly like look into it later on. I would say also say like as an adult, there are a couple of like dark tones to it. There's a whole sequence, and you know, this is also like in trailer, so it's not really spoilery at all, but Luigi encountering dry bones. Like that's kind of that's kind of unsettling, and I think they're even more unsettling here than they are in the game. And also in the trailer, there was a Luma that was featured that talked about isolation, darkness, and the sweet release of death. Bowser also goes on to talk about like killing the Mario Brothers. It's kind of insane. The only thing I could say is just watch out for what your kid might end up saying as a result of the Luma influence. Let's jump into the spoilers, okay? To kind of like talk about this, a lot of people had a lot of gripes about Chris Pratt being Mario, mainly because he didn't really fit the voice well, or at least so they felt, right? Because at this time, like there wasn't a lot of footage of just Mario talking. They 100% address the accent in the sense that like that was their whole advertisement for their plumbing business. Mario and Luigi previously were part of the Working Crew, which is a video game, but it was also like a company that they just left prior to them like splitting off from them and trying to like do this independent venture, being the Super Mario Brothers like plumbing business. The interaction, obviously this guy being like kind of like antagonizing Mario and Luigi for just doing this in the first place instead of like working for them instead. It's here that you kind of like see a little bit more about Mario's character, also Luigi as well. Mario stands up for his brother and Luigi kind of like cowers behind, but it's also like a supporting role like for Mario as well. They get their first call and it's super exciting. First of all, for the audience, because you hear that GameCube ringtone, I need that. You get this very nice 2D segment of them like going across this whole street with a whole bunch of different obstacles, and this is where like Mario shows a little bit more of his athleticism, and Luigi falls behind pretty quickly. Also, no Sleep Till Brooklyn plays.
No way! Is it really?
Yep. They insert quite a lot.
That's not what I was asking. That's not what I was gonna ask, but that's really funny.
They have a couple of like songs in there that you wouldn't expect.
No, they don't.
Okay, I'll leave it at that then.
Don't. They do not use licensed music in there.
They do.
Shut the
I'll tell you right now, it's kind of weird when you like jump into it, you're like, oh, here's some like cool orchestrated tracks, and is that No Sleep Till Brooklyn? And then they just carry on. I guess what Phil was telling me was that like this is just an Illumination thing. They just use licensed music. But yeah, no, I really did like that platforming like section. It was just a nod to just the general like Mario like gameplay mechanics that we're used to like seeing. Yeah, their gig was essentially just a way to tell the audience that like it's not really working too well. Like this is not like a really good idea, despite like their knowledge. And I guess to be fair, it's not really their fault. It was really the dog that just kind of like interfered, but it made things like a whole lot worse for them. Otherwise, they would have gotten it done. Which makes the next thing kind of like more salt to the wound is when they actually go back home and you see this huge extended family there. You find out about like Mario's like aversion to mushrooms, which is very weird. After getting some like not so approval words from Dad, you know, like Mario goes back to his room and he plays a little bit of Kid Icarus on the NES. There's a lot of Easter eggs in that room. I didn't even look at a lot of those things except for what was like in the main like forefront. So if you look at the walls there, I'm pretty sure you'll pick out something. I like the scene with like Luigi coming in like with food and he's just there to support. Like I think the dynamic between Mario and Luigi, though it's not really something that develops, it's just there and it's a strong bond that they have. And I think that's something I really liked about that. What I also liked was the fact that when they turned on the news, there was like a huge, like severe plumbing issue that was going on in the city. And you see Pauline for like a good like number of seconds. And it's like, that's a nice nod. That transition from them like falling through the brick wall to them just kind of like walking away from the situation. I felt like that was a little too quick. And them like discovering like more like caverns like further down below the deep ground, if you will. Like at first I thought that I was like, wait, did we just transition over to like a whole new thing? Because that's what I felt. Because like following afterward, they discovered like the warp pipe and they get sucked into it. They get isekai'd. That's when we meet Toad. Literally all the things that happen in the trailer, this is what gets shown. In fact, hold on, there's a fair number of things in the trailer that get shown into like this movie, but they're definitely like downsized quite a bit. So you can definitely piece together some of the plot here. They do a quick introduction. Mario tells him that he's like lost and he needs to go find his brother. Doesn't even talk about going home. He just talks about finding his brother. And that's when Toad, like, without really much question, goes to help Mario. I guess the weird thing is that like Toad was just kind of there. And he was so like it's almost as if he was just like as an NPC. It almost felt like he just was to guide you over to like the Mushroom Kingdom. I'm gonna tell you right now. You may have seen like it's not a trailer, but it was definitely a clip of just like Mario going through the entire like town up to the actual like castle itself. That's one of my favorite moments. It's not the favorite, but it's definitely one of my favorite moments because it's just seeing all the things you could point out with your finger and what you can see as far as like references. And also this is like the perfect way of just hearing that orchestrated piece where like it's a bunch of like Mario songs chained together as he's like moving up, and I really like that. When they reach the castle gates, that's when the guard Toads, they make some like jokes about like, oh, the princess is actually in another castle, but she's actually inside. We're just not letting you in. Yeah, so Peach volunteers to go over to the Kong Kingdom on foot and convince them to band together to stop Bowser, because otherwise the Mushroom Kingdom and ultimately every other kingdom will get screwed over. I guess this is weird because like one of the Toads like up front, obviously one of the higher ups, the one who kind of like does a lot of debates and discussions about like what to do with the kingdom. He was pretty much just saying like, Princess, that's kind of ill-advised. Like, if you go there, like they'll probably kill you. I think that's what they said. And the Princess is like, no, I got this. And that was it. You see where I'm going with like the pacing? It's kind of like really fast. By the time she goes out there, there's a quick interaction between her and Mario, in the sense that like she finally like throws him down because it looked like an assault. But now like Mario like gives her like the quick rundown, like, hey, I need help because my brother's in like the Darklands. She's like, oh, that's not good. He's in big trouble. In fact, we're all in trouble. And like Mario already shows his way. He's going to like fight. And so this is where we get a relatively quick transition where like Peach is like, okay, yeah, let's see what you got. They go through an entire like platforming course just to see like what he's able to do. And this is where Peach goes out and just demonstrates what she's able to do. She's able to clear through it like effortlessly and it looks really good. In heels, in a dress, we have a whole montage here, and yeah, there's another like licensed song insert here too. For what it's worth, this is Mario kind of overcoming his aversion with mushrooms, and he's able to like use that as the power up. This is where you see a little bit more of the athleticism that we're used to seeing. I guess this is another like weird thing that they did with the movie was the fact that with Peach, she's able to go through the whole thing just fine, but Mario can't. And she explains that like it's because you're not using any of the power-ups, but she went through the course without the need of a power-up. But it's just obviously the powers are part of like the game, so obviously Mario needs to utilize that, and it's definitely introductions for like things later on. He screws up at the end, but Peach is like, no, no, you're good, that was close, yeah, let's go. And so they head off, and this is when like once they're at the outskirts of the castle in the town, that's when we see Toad again, and he's like, I'm coming with you guys, I'm a brave Toad. And Peach is like, oh, well, I mean, there was a couple moments, but that definitely solidified the fact that like the pacing here was definitely just like being pushed along. Just like, okay, we can go to the next part now. Kong Kingdom, like I think as a whole, is probably probably my favorite portion, because you literally go up the front gates and there's like this one dude. I think he might be a character in the Donkey Kong like series. I just don't really know. And you find out the whole Kong Kingdom has a lot of roads specifically for go-karts, and they literally go and enter the palace by way of just like jumping off of like a ramp and then using like the sail introduced in Mario Kart 7. As you guys recall, I had like some issues about like one particular voice actor or like one character being voiced, and it was actually Cranky Kong. I don't know the actor personally. It just felt weird because like I felt like there was like a singular tone for that character. And this is where we get the introduction, obviously, Donkey Kong, which has like the greatest like callback, I think, in the entire movie. And it's not even like Mario Brothers specifically, it's just Donkey Kong, and that's the DK rap. It was there for like a fair couple of seconds, but that was beautiful. I don't even know that much about Donkey Kong, period, but like that was, I at least know that from Smash Brothers, right? Diddy makes a quick appearance, and that was it. But I think the fight itself, because we know that from the movies as well. So the fight between Mario and Donkey Kong I think was a really good one. My God, guys, I gotta talk to you about the Seth Rogen laugh. They squeezed that in. Donkey Kong's pretty fast. You see some like iconic like things that he would do. Like he's able to toss barrels. He's able to actually like roll in order to like propel himself towards like Mario. But I like what happens afterward in the sense that like they have now a bit of a rivalry between each other. Because obviously DK doesn't like him. Mario's like, what's your beef, dude? Bowser has like this, and it's obviously he's Jack Black, right? So they have like this whole like song portion where they talk about it's Peaches. You guys probably picked up on that already. So that was great. The fact is that like Kamek is there and dressed up as Peach is also like really funny too. Doing the Rainbow Road stuff, customizing carts, that's probably my favorite part of the movie. You go in there, you see like pretty much what you see in Mario Kart 8, where it's like selecting like certain parts of your vehicle. But while this happens, you hear the Mario Kart 8 like vehicle selection like track playing in the back, and it was phenomenal, dude. When you see the shot of the Rainbow Road and you hear like the track there too, and it was phenomenal. I know I talked about how it'd be really cool if like Nintendo like adapted that like course and made it into like a Mario Kart course, like legitimately through DLC. I'm okay. I don't think there was a lot to really see for that course, other than the fact that it's meant to kind of go like upside down and like do a lot of turns and everything like that. Obviously Rainbow Road would probably be selected because that's just like the setting for that is just kind of intense, where it really just feels like a perpetual space where there's constant dangers like on both sides, in the sense of like that danger of falling. And that was just further emphasized with the fact that Bowser caught wind of that. There was someone who's like been infiltrating or spying on the Mushroom Kingdom and all the actions that Peach was doing. They had an ambush prepped and ready for like the whole crew. So a lot of guys were on go-karts, and I feel like at that point the Kong army was like definitely underutilized because they were just so distracted and they couldn't really do much. I think the exciting part was the fact that Mario had to do a little bit of platforming, not to just like escape from that giant cart, but also to like jump into like another lane, take someone else's cart, and then like chuck like that guy's shell at another cart. And I was like, that's great. Also, there was a really cool Mario and Donkey Kong like team up there. I think that was a really nice like touch as far as like them like kind of establishing the rivalry, but also being kind of cool with each other at that point. Although I think this was like something that people, like especially critics, were looking at this and probably were like, yeah, well, why though? But it was totally perfect. It's the Blue Show. The Blue Show got super pissed off and like literally zoomed in on those guys. I'm not sure if they were first place or second place, but depending, because I think Peach was like right there in front of them. But no, he zeroed in on them. and he broke the bridge, and like Mario and DK like fall into the ocean, and they get swallowed up by some like eel monster. Real quick, I need to stop recording because I gotta go get food, but we're gonna resume this later on. Sorry guys, I'm back. The final bits of the movie are pretty action oriented. Mario and DK fighting together. Obviously DK getting the fire powers and Mario just getting a regular super mushroom. That was a great segment. And honestly, it's one of those where like I want to watch the movie again to see what Donkey Kong was doing specifically. I think I was maybe like splitting my attention between the two. It was hard to focus on one. So it's definitely one of those things where like you could definitely watch it again to see what the other one had done. But the big thing is the fact that Mario gets a Tanuki suit power up. I think you've probably seen it in one of the trailers before that I may have missed. Yeah, he's able to like, kind of like fly indefinitely, which is great because it creates this really cool like action segment where he's like trying to dodge this giant bullet bill that was going to like wreck the entire Mushroom Kingdom. He's able to lure it all the way over to the warp pipe that led him back into the Mushroom Kingdom in the first place. It gets magically absorbed as typically the warp pipe do, and in that little tiny like transportation space, that pocket space, it explodes. It pretty much causes the worlds to collide and merge together. Jack Black's playing Bowser is kind of like a lot of comedy as a villain, which is great, but you forget about how busted Bowser really is. He obviously has like the fire breathing, but he's also just like a huge massive like muscle, and he like really throws Mario all around. I'm glad that at the end of that fight too, we had the other cast of characters try to fend off Bowser as Mario takes a quick breather. Mario and Luigi are reunited at this point. They were able to grab the Power Star, and literally that's when the motif of the invincibility kicks in. I don't think it fits quite well, even in orchestrated form, but they still kick ass. It's great. Possibly something that can be critiqued is the fact that Luigi is able to perform as well with Mario. I don't think we've ever seen Luigi with that athleticism similar to and on par with Mario in this movie. I guess at the end of the day, even though Mario was the one who caused that merge in the first place and bring Bowser to them, everyone's happy at the end. All's well that ends well, right? I guess the following days is just literally Mario and Luigi just like teaming up together to just do their usual jobs or whatever have you, honestly. I guess the second movie can set that up. But yeah, but it's now like, it's not Brooklyn anymore. So yeah. And of course they had a post-credit scene of Bowser doing like the full Peaches song. And then the the after credits, I actually didn't really know about. I found it out online. The sense that there's going to be Yoshi, or at least Yoshi's hinted at the next movie, but we've seen Yoshi's in the movie. I mean, maybe that's like a major character Yoshi, and that's just to kick off any potentials for like later movies. Yeah, that's pretty much the whole movie. First of all, I apologize if I'm losing my voice because I just ate, and I guess that just happens as a side effect. I have to repeat my words. It's a fantastic movie. I honestly say that it's pretty much for everyone, like kids and adults alike. So 100% I recommend it. Before I lose my voice any further, I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and just go watch the movie, support it. It's honestly, it took years to create, and I think the end product is something to be really proud of. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I hope to see everybody in the next one. So take care of yourselves, everybody. #bye, everyone.